All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Evan Aldo here. If you enjoy the content, always appreciate you guys smashing the like button. So here are the latest trades. I'll talk about in this video the main thing, why I think we potentially, likely, could see a new all-time high for both Bitcoin and both Ethereum this week even. This coming 5-7 days, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. It's crazy fun times in the market right now. Here are the latest trades over on BYDFI. So this is each trade is doing really well, kind of rinsing and repeating as I've been doing a while, just adding to it and taking off and then setting stop loss to entry point. If you want more info on that, check out the Discord. The link is down below. And then, the Doge trade, I don't like those first three numbers. And Chainlink right there, XRP. Good thing that changed. But yeah, that's like just shows you the level of patience here. I know $300 worth of funding fees paid, but $3,000 profit, not bad even after that fee. So yeah, and if you guys are interested in that, check out the Discord down below. If you want one free month in Discord, what I always offer you guys is if you sign up to any of the links down below, my links down below, BloFin, BYDFI, Bitunix, there are some good bonuses. But if you deposit at least $100, I'll give you one free month in the Discord. If you open a support ticket in the Discord with your UID or your email, once you deposit the $100 in the exchange, then we'll get you sorted. But 100K potential bonus trading and deposit, and then Bitunix is 25% of your fees for life. The other are 20% of your fees for life if you sign up with my link. So I did a lot of work to try to get you guys these deals and to make myself more bonuses to trade with. But to be completely honest, but part of the game. So nice deposit bonus on BYDFI as well. So yeah, check them out if you guys are interested. Down below, let's get into the main analysis right here. So yeah, when we look at kind of Bitcoin, you're approaching a new all-time high. If things continue forward, which it's pretty likely they will. My guess is around 130 could be your next kind of local type high here. So jumping up to 130, and that should be more than enough to get Bitcoin up to a new all-time high, maybe $5,000, and that could happen this week potentially. I mean, everything generally looks pretty good for continuation here. And just the most basic traditional TA, if you went from like top to bottom here, you're breaking upward. 130 would be your big goal. So if I were to guess, 130. 4,800 to 5,100 ETH at the same time. And then you may get, if we look at post-halving years, September is always the bad month. So say you kind of, peak here in August. I have another feeling that you may not get that bad of a correction in September if we do peak out earlier in say October, but it's hard to say. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. But, I kind of guess that, you're due for those pretty big corrections. I mean, you haven't seen a 30% correction since early this year. So, not to be the bringer of bad news, but I mean, that's probably the worst I could see you coming back down to some, lower points. If there is a pretty big sell-off in September, most likely the Fed will cut rates in September. Sometimes you do see a sell-off around there. So that could happen. I mean, I guess it would be a really weird cycle if that's kind of all over. A lot of more people are coming back into the seat, so I would expect some volatility too. You could come down a lot and then into October or something, October, November, back up to these areas or whatever, 150 up to even. So keep that in mind. You may see a lot of volatility, especially if a lot of people, get back into the game. The other thing I want to show you real quick here is the fear and greed, which is still, neutral to relatively low on CoinMarket I think a lot of people will get back in the seat, potentially bringing you back up to the extreme greed area over 80 if Ethereum makes a new all-time high in the coming weeks. So keep that in mind. That may be a potential kind of sell signal or pullback signal. Just keep that in mind. If we move on to Ethereum right now, breaking upward, and then Bitcoin and new all-time high probably would lead to ETH at least 4,600 to 48 to up to 52. It's kind of crazy. You could hit probably 52 this month max. I don't think you could get much higher than that this month, but we'll see. And then potentially, let's kind of just map this out. What you could. I mean, everything looks pretty bullish across the board here too. I'll map it out in a second. I just wanted to show you potential sell signals too for like a market cycle top would be if you do see October, it would be this next kind of trigger wave, or it may be an anchor wave depending on how far we come up. in October to end of year, sometime in Q4, and that would probably be a major sell signal there, just to give you guys a little FYI when I'm really looking at getting out. If you follow kind of this trajectory upward, let's say you follow this trajectory upward, that could be up to 52, even 53, probably, yeah, that spider line by end of this month. And then you see your kind of correction. I would guess if it could be 20 to 30% there. Okay, so not too bad, actually. It looks worse on Bitcoin when we do this. So back to kind of baseline 3,700 or something. And then from there, that's where we're talking big numbers. And yeah, I mean, when you do it on this time frame, there could even be the damn case for 11K by October. But I think that's a little bit too, yeah, it's a little bit too optimistic, I think. But something along these lines. Damn, if you do see 7,300 by that FOMC meeting in September, oh boy, that may come down quite a bit. Let's just, keep that in mind. But this would be a quicker kind of correction. Big moves could happen quickly, so I don't think, obviously it could be much more extended than the way I drew it up there. So yeah, but ultimately short term looks pretty good. I mean, how would you trade this right now? I mean, I think I posted it in Discord to give you guys a little freebie of what I'm potentially could be looking at here, 2 to 1 like that. You could try something like that. We'll see what happens coming into Monday. I mean, Monday, there's no guarantee Monday's going to be, green. It could be red, so just keep that in mind. ETH versus Bitcoin, I mean, obviously, there's not much to say here. Just very bullish. It probably will at least get up to this kind of trend line here by October, I would say. Another 20 or like 50% up against Bitcoin, I think is absolutely very likely. A couple coins I've been looking at, crypto.com kind of breaking out. You got a really high target if you were to break above this level, which you kind of have, 35 cents here. Well, I mean, compared to old all-time high, not too high, but a lot of potential with these, a lot of 2 to 3x's with the alts, I think. The big thing we want to talk about here is like when do altcoins start outperforming ETH, because ETH has been outperforming pretty much every altcoin here, most of them. And this area right here, I think, is pretty big historically. You had a big jump here. You came down lower. This was 23, but this area in this kind of trigger wave right here. So you had this one in August of 24 into kind of December. So it kept going though, but the market did come down throughout there. But I do think that into probably at least October, I mean, I think you'll see a bottom relatively soon. Then you'll see an altcoin season into probably October or something. That's what it's kind of looking like. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's different this time. Others versus Bitcoin, similar situation. I mean, I think you confirmed on the monthly deep anchor wave, this is probably bottomed and you should be going up. It's just a matter of, can you get, a parabolic thing like this, like you saw in previous cycles? I don't know. But I do think you can get back up to some of these levels or something, coming up on Bitcoin, by 100% or something, I think is absolutely possible here. If Bitcoin gets up to 150K, I think most coins could double. Bitcoin going up like 30%, most coins could go up 100%. I mean, do the math there. It's pretty big, outperformance to Bitcoin. Cardano, for example, I think this eventually, that weekly is looking really good. Money flow coming up. This should at least get up to 230, I think, this cycle. It's risky. It's still an altcoin, but I think you got a lot of potential to break upward to that point at some point here. Solana, things can get crazy. I mean, I think you got a good shot at 400. I mean, like a double for this into like end of year, into October to end of year. I think that's definitely possible. It is lagging behind ETH a little bit, like everything, but I think this still should keep going. Interesting one right here, AVAX versus Ethereum. The last time you hit this huge point on AVAX versus Ethereum, October 23, look at that. I mean, I don't know if you're going to outperform Ethereum by 300%. You would need a major freaking rally, but by 90%, I think pretty easily into October, into the next few months here. You're hitting this point. I want to see if we're probably not getting too much of a slight reaction. Okay, people are looking at this, I think, and they're buying. We'll just see if AVAX has got it in it, but I think it's got something left. So we'll see. AVAX itself, I mean, pretty lackluster, but that weekly, just like Cardano, should be able, hopefully 47. I mean, if we can get some exciting weeks here, that fear and greed, like I showed you earlier, that's going to spike up real quick, if we can get some exciting weeks here. So August may be your month. And I mean, a lot of people will be back in the seat, probably this at $50 to $60. So just keep that in mind. Chainlink is another one, a little bit ahead of the game on Chainlink, but you got a good shot in 10 a year, potentially a new all-time high here. I mean, you only need a 2 to 3x for a new all-time high, so that's what we're looking at there. Overall, market looking really healthy. I think this is going to be a really, really exciting week, guys. So like I mentioned before, if you guys are not in the Discord, check it out. Link is down below. A lot of good stuff in there. We got Nightshade, we got KMAC in there, so a lot of really good stuff. I think this is going to be an important time, and I think, I mean, not financial advice. I can't predict the future, but I think I'm pretty confident I could get out, at some good times towards the end of the year and take a lot of the crazy gains I've made. So, I'm really confident in these markets. And yeah, smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. Check out the links down below for the exchanges. A lot of good potential right there if you guys want to trade, if you're interested. So yeah, smash the like button, guys. Have a good one. Goodbye.